Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Trap Chat, Meeting the Moment, Embracing and Navigating Pivots. I am beyond thrilled today. I am joined by one of the most amazing people I've had the pleasure of meeting. And yes, I have met this gentleman in person. So I'm even more geeked and more excited today. I am joined by José Pereira. He is, again, a phenomenal man, and we're going to get to learn so much about him during our conversation today. He is a Houston, not native, but lives in Houston with his amazing wife, who I also got the opportunity to meet. He is a father, a grandfather, career-wise, a keynote speaker, executive coach, best-selling author, and then things that were amazing to me, and I was shocked when I first heard, but a 5-year international hostage survivor. Again, I say he's a best-selling author. I have his book, and I was fortunate enough to get it signed when we met. So pick it up. It's called From Hero to Villain, The True Story of the Sitco Six. We're going to get into that a little bit. He's also a podcast host, so you can hear more of his stories. Man of faith. I love following him on social media because y'all know that I am a friend of God. And I love to see him outwardly express his faith. That is amazing to me. And one thing I just saw, a Flux Award nominee. Congratulations.
Oh, that came yesterday night.
Yeah, congratulations. So, Jose, welcome to Trap Chat. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. Well, as you mentioned, to the audience, to your audience, they're here. We met in person like
April 30th. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, a couple of weeks ago. We were chatting, and when I asked her where she was, she told me she was from Washington. I was going to Washington, and I invited to an event that we were having. We can talk later about that, but
yeah,
we could meet in person there. Yeah.
Yes. All right. So let's get into it because I'm sure folks are very interested in hearing about you and your amazing story. Let's start at the beginning. Well, kind of the beginning. Like the middle a little bit. Your journey has taken you from a 35-year oil industry executive and CEO to an unjustly detained prisoner to a resilience coach and advocate. What was the most challenging aspect of these dramatic pivots, and how did you even begin to reimagine what leadership and purpose could look like for you?
Well, as you mentioned, I did this more than 3 decades career in the oil and gas. I'm Venezuelan born, and I began in the Venezuelan oil and gas industry. And the people that doesn't know, Venezuela was a very wealthy country a long time ago, and the oil and gas industry was one of the most important in the world. By the way, it was the fifth oil and gas company of the world where I began working, where I did my career. And as you mentioned, I came here to Houston almost 15 years ago. 15. I came assigned from my parent company to Houston, that the Houston-based company that is Citgo Petroleum. Citgo Petroleum here is very well known because all the logistics through all the East Coast and even going all the way in top to the north. There's a lot of Citgo gas stations. So people that are hearing this, they live in Boston, in Miami, maybe even in New York. There are a lot of Citgo gas stations. So I became the CEO of that company. So for me, it was like a kind of the end of my career in the top. And it happened, this situation that I became an international hostage. For me, it's a kind of a wild thing because it happened exactly with the first time in office of Donald Trump. And during that period, this happened because Trump was having problems with the Venezuelan government like he's doing it today. So that the situation has been kind of a full cycle being repeated. And we get trapped in the middle of a business trip, in the middle of all these things, and we became the hostess during 5 years. So, answering your question, why pivot in my career? Because when I came back, a couple of months after, I went to Washington. Exactly as I did this time. This is my third year going to Washington to this event. So I attended that event that you saw, and we unveiled that mural that you saw, but with our faces. And if the people are not aware, I belong today what something that is called the hostess community. People that have gone through my same situation in other countries. The people doesn't believe that this happened, and you saw a lot of people there. People that have families in all over the world, in countries like China, in Russia, Afghanistan, Iran, Venezuela. A lot of people in Venezuela, by the way. So that today is a big community, but that time was like kind of beginning. So when I begin to meet all these families and see all the pain and see all the suffering, I got so connected with them. And I begin to kind of help them. Even I was returned, I found that I needed to try to support. It began to be my emotional drainage for me. So I tried to not to continue that path. But I decided to become a coach because I said, hey, Jose, you have all your life have had experience in leadership. And during my career, and you're a person from HR, so you can understand me. In my career, I always wanted to be teaching people. I always wanted to be teaching. I was always organizing seminars. I was organizing team building. So that was kind of my nature. I didn't know that what I was doing was going to become my new path, because I was doing it because I like to do it. And when I decided to do this, I said, okay, you had the experience, you had the skills, and now you had this survivor experience. Because one of the things, if you go back to my podcast that I did this Monday, I interviewed a guy that he's the medical director of the Wake Med Medical Center. There is a big trauma center in and I got connected with Brian so much that he did the prologue of my book. If you go to the back cover of my book, you will see his quote, and he did the prologue of the book. But I interviewed him. And when I stayed in that trauma recovery center, I could understand all the process that you go through the trauma process. So that's what I decided to do, combine that experience that I went through in my survival experience with my leadership experience that I had in the past. And
Yeah,
that became my coaching program. I
I
today,
love it.
I today have this coaching program that is called the
It's
Unbreakable
unbreakable.
Leadership. So
Yeah.
so what I do is I go during to the people I coach. I go through those techniques that normally you use to survive, but I apply it to your business or to your life.
Hmm.
So that's what I did. That's what I
I
decided
love
to
it.
do.
All right. So let's go back just a little bit. You were unjustly detained for 1,775 days. That is a situation that could easily break a person's trust in the world, in others, and even in themselves. What helped you to rebuild that trust? Trust in your own voice, in the decisions that you were going to make, and then as your identity as a leader. You got into the situation because of your leader, because you were a leader in an oil company. And then lastly, you mentioned it, your book, your course, Unbreakable Leadership. In addition to that, how do you guide others to do the same after experiencing any type of disruption and betrayal?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because first, to put in context, we were six guys. So I was the CEO, and I had my five vice presidents that were with me. So we had like kind of a unique situation. Even my first year, we were isolated. After my second year, we because all the pressure that was going to get us released, the Venezuelan regime decided to put the six together. So we had like a unique situation. that we could stay six guys together. It's not so common. If you see the cases, normally the people are taken by alone and stayed alone. We had the opportunity to be the six guys. And with the six, we had the, for reason of God, the six of us had a long career in the oil and gas, and we had a long-term marriage, all of us. So we were six guys with 30 plus years married. That is not a coincidence. For me, this was like a God doing his stuff. He put six guys with a long-term career, with a long-term marriage together to go through that ordeal. And we discovered that we could support each other. We created, I call like the survivor plan. At the end, is part of my coaching program today. So what was that survivor plan? Simple things like doing a daily routine, or having that circle of support, that we decided that no matter what was going the situation, nobody was going to be down, you know, and try to always having positive thinking, because all of us had family, had kids, had grandsons, had been traveling, had food, so we were always having positive thinking, and our connection with our faith. So that was really, for me, was key. I was not a man of God. I was a guy that came from a Catholic country in a Catholic family, but was a guy that I had abandoned my faith. I was so
Wow.
focused in my job that I didn't have time for that. That was my reality. And when I went to the situation that I had time. God told me, okay, you didn't have time, now you're gonna have time. So now I had time to go back and revisit the Bible and begin to do really deeply studies there, because we had a lot of time to do it.
Wow.
And for us was really a real reconnection with God. So all these things together, and our family fighting hard to get us back. If you
Hmm.
see my book, I after my second year, I begin to write a secret letter with my wife, and we begin to do it during years, and they never discovered the letters, and that is the fundamental of what my book is today. So when you put
Yeah.
everything in context, that was really what made us survive.
Yeah.
Because that and today I tell the people that you don't have to be a hostage. You don't have to go to a situation extreme like we went, but you can be going through a lot of things in your life. It can be in your personal life, or can be even in your business. You're having struggle in anything that you're trying to achieve, a startup, whatever you're doing, or maybe you're a CEO of a company and are having a lot of issues. So all these things that we went through, I try to put it in what is the coaching today, because these are real things that can really help you.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that how the letters that you secretly wrote your wife became the foundation for your memoir, but it's also a powerful symbol of connection. In your experience, how do relationships help sustain resilience? And then what lessons can leaders learn from this about the importance of authentic relationship building, especially in times of crisis?
Well, for me, it's key. My company is called Jose Connect, because for me, everything is a connection. And,
Yeah.
and, 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 my, and my main topic is connecting your business success with your personal fulfillment. Because this is another thing that for me was the discovery. I did this long career, but to get to the top, I abandoned my family. I was so focused in my job. I was a workaholic. So I literally abandoned my family. This is something that today I tell to anybody that I'm coaching, or even when I am speaking, that these are big mistake. You have to have a balance in your life. So anybody that's hearing this, that you're identifying with I'm saying, you have to, if you're going to that thing, you have to stop and rethink and regain a balance. And this is part of what I do in my coaching, because it's important that I understand that people want to, do a career and want to climb the corporate ladder, and blah blah blah. But the
Mm,
truth is that sometimes when you do that in only thinking in that, only focusing in that, so maybe you can be a very successful guy in your business, but when you go to your house, you're a miserable, you know. So so what is the reason to do that? Because instead, if you're a guy that you're successful in your business and at the same time you keep the balance, you take time to your family, you make your stops, and your faith. This is
yeah.
another thing, and your faith. That's what really will make you joyful when you make that balance.
I love it. That's a great segue to my next question about accountability. What practices, or just maybe one, because I don't want to give away your whole coaching, but what's one tip you can give for leaders to implement to stay accountable to their values when they're navigating like unexpected pivots or disruptions and change? We know change is constant, change is always happening. What's one thing you can offer?
Well, one thing that the person has to do first is step back a little bit and say, what is my purpose? Why I'm doing this? For example, you decided to begin a business of, I don't know what line of business. Your first question has to be, is that really my purpose? Is that really what I want to do? So when you get clarity and you have that, I call it that revelation, that really that is what you want to do, you get stick to it. You really get stick to it because there is something that is in the human nature that is called that determination. And again, that is part of my coaching and part of my speaking too. The determination is that fuel that you have inside, that no matter what circumstance you're going, you will never stop. It will make you be unstoppable. That great people, that success in life is that have determination. You can see any case, and again, if you go to the biblical person, you will see it. Always, you will see the same patterns. People that were broken, people that went through extreme situations, extreme adversity, but they stayed stick to their faith, to their belief, and at the end, they succeeded. And you see it in the real life too, that people have been successful. Always you have to have determination, but you need to know what is your purpose first. What sometimes people are doing things in their life that they're not their calling, they're not their purpose. And that's why the people sometimes are so lost, so depressed, so they don't feel that what they're doing is right because it's not your purpose. So the first thing that you have to make your question is, what is your purpose? What is what you really want to do?
Wow, another great segue, and you really did answer my next question. But I'm gonna ask it.
Sorry about that.
I'm gonna ask it anyway. So maybe I'll get another perspective. But you didn't let the trauma define you. You used it to transform your experience into a platform to help other people. What is a specific strategy that helped you shift to a proactive, purpose finding approach? And what strategies do you recommend for leaders who are navigating transitions, but they don't feel ready to act?
Well, I have a podcast that I did that is called Making the Setback to Comebacks. And it is that when you find that the things that you're going in your life are part of a process of learning, it's a learning process that it is not a setback. It's like a preparation for the comeback. When you see the things not in the negative way, you see it in a positive way. So you go to even you can have a failure. You can have you started a business and it failed, and you needed to close it, and then now you're here. What am I going to do with my life? Maybe you can learn from what happened, that what was a failure, but start again. And next time you're going to do it better. Sometimes people have to go through several processes because
Yeah.
nobody has the secret formula. But the real secret sauce of this is keep going and learning from the failures.
Yeah.
I did I'm sorry that I'm promoting my podcast here, but
No,
I
this
did
is a
because I
perfect
have been
time for you to promote
you,
it.
you know, I have been interviewing people that have been part of my journey, that are people that are expert in their line of business, and now I'm having them as ghosts. I have a friend that she is incredible. How she has been going and all, and she's the role model of what is the anti-fragile leader, that
Okay.
leader that not only bounce back and come back, it comes back better. It learns from
Mm.
the failures. So this is the type of thing that you can learn it, because the good thing that everything I'm saying here is that you can learn this, because the people can be hearing me say, oh, how I do that. You can do it, because one of the beauty of this, that today there's a lot of studies on the brain, that there's the the plasticity of the brain, the neuroplasticity of the brain. You can retrain your brain, but you need to have the intention to do it. Everything is intentional. If you
Yeah.
have the intention to say, oh, I want to do it, you can do it. But it has to begin with you.
You answered my next question.
Wow.
But that's great because now I can get an alternative additional answer. So, throughout your career, obviously, or throughout your journey, throughout your life, you have met the moment, especially in extraordinary circumstances. How can listeners better prepare themselves to recognize and rise to meet pivotal moments in their own lives with courage and with clarity?
Well, I'm gonna say something here. Adversity never announced. That's the first thing. Never announced. And you can try to prepare yourself. That is true. But believe me, when it happens, you're not gonna be prepared, because that is the nature. That is what it is. When something happens, it normally catch you in that you don't know what to do. So the first reaction, and it's very human, by the way, the first reaction is say, this is not happening to me. You deny it. No, 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 this is not, this is wrong, this is not happening to me. And at some point, you decide to accept the situation that you're going. And this is very key. The time that takes from the moment that you deny it and the moment that you decide to accept it. It can take days, it can take weeks, and it can take years, or maybe never. Never. You stay there, and there where the people get lost. So what, again, it's a very personal decision when you decided to say, okay, God, this is my situation, this is what is
Mm,
going, I'm gonna accept it, I'm gonna move on. When you make that decision, is when everything begins to be shifted, because now you're changing your mindset. You're
yes.
going through the negative to the positive, and this is a normal process to happen. When you go to that moment, that becomes your pivotal moment, when you decided to say, okay, I accept, this is my reality, I'm gonna live with it, but I'm gonna succeed, because you're not accepting it, you're recognizing that this is your situation, but you're not accepting it. You're gonna continue moving on. So this is something that is key in any situation in life.
Okay. No, that is excellent advice. I think we ended our main portion on a great point. I want to maybe do a collection because you just kind of preached a sermon there. I think. But send your offering to Jose. His information is scrolling at the bottom. But it is now time for more inspiration because we get to know more about you, the person, like the real personal side of you. Who is a well-known and or lesser-known historical or contemporary figure who inspires you and we should learn more about?
Well, there's an author that for me was key during my captivity. That is Victor Frankl. The survivor in the concentration camps in the World War II. The people that don't know Viktor Frankl, he wrote the book Men in the Search of a Meaning. And I
Mm,
had the opportunity to read that book during my captivity. And for me, that book was key, because that guy, people that doesn't know, please Google Viktor Frankl with a L, Frank L, a Frank with a L
Sure.
at the end, Frank
Okay.
L. Okay, Google him because this guy, he was an interesting guy because Viktor Frankl was the director of in Austria. He was the director of a big psychiatric hospital.
Okay.
And when he got captured, he was captured with all his family. And he was kind of doing studies before his captivity about how the human nature behaves. And he
Mm.
continued doing it when he was in his captivity. He stayed almost 5 years too.
Oh,
And
wow.
this guy, he discovered that the person that survived was because they found the purpose. That's why I talk about the purpose.
Okay.
Because they found their purpose. Because he found that even in the pain, you can find purpose.
Yeah.
In the pain, you can find purpose. That's why when you're going through any situation in your life, you can try to find why you're going through it.
Wow.
And maybe behind that is a lesson that you need to learn. It's a message that maybe God is giving to you.
Mm.
So when you have, I call it the revelation, because it's kind of a revelation. That why is that you're going through that is when you begin to see. And for me, Viktor Frankl was key because can you imagine I go into that situation and I had the opportunity to read the book in there and I was going through exactly the same process. It
Wow.
was like a wow. For me, it was like a really all moment that wow. So again, for me, it was something of God that He put me that book in my hand in that moment. So for me, he's key. Another person that for me is incredible is Paul. You know, the
From the Bible?
Paul, the transformation of Paul in the Bible, how he and these are my two heroes today.
Okay. I'm more of a Peter. I'm more of a Peter
Oh
myself.
well, Peter is a great guy too. I love Peter too, but Paul, but for me, Paul is all his transformation.
I know. I'm just teasing
It's
you.
his transformation, and again, how because without Paul, again, don't make me wrong. Peter
He's the fighter.
is the rock,
Yeah.
but Paul was the guy that made the message of Jesus spread all over the world. He
Absolutely.
was the guy that went to all the Gentiles and spread it all over the world. We today praise the Christianity because of Paul. Because if he didn't go to Rome,
Mm.
when he did his traveling and he was captured and went to a prison in Rome, that he continued writing with the help of Luke of all these books. All those books that today are almost the 60% of the New Testament
Yeah.
are written by him.
Mm-hmm.
So he really is the fundamental that today we praise the Christianity.
Yeah. I love that. You're so amazing. You just make me smile so much. All right. Ooh, this is a fictional character, but what fictional character gives you a glimpse of yourself?
A fictional character. Wow. never thought about that. Maybe Superman. I love Superman.
You love Superman?
I'm a big fan of Superman. Yeah.
Okay. I love it. We'll take it. Okay. Here's one. What is your favorite empowering quote?
Very easy. Let me show you something.
Okay.
I always have in my wristband something that is called
Never give up.
"Never give up." This is for me my favorite quote.
Okay. If you could spend the day shadowing someone from a different profession, who would it be and what would you hope to learn from them?
Well, I have learned a lot from my therapist. You know,
Oh.
I got connected to these foundations that support the hosted the when return because it's fascinating. Let me tell you, one of the things that I was talking with this guy of this big trauma center when we interviewed him is that knowing now more deeply the situation that people go when they return, because when you come back from your captivity, you saw people there that had 10 years, 12 years, 8 years, 7 years. It's a long time. When you return, I always say that you come like in a time machine, in a world that has changed, your family changed, everything changed, and you had your life totally screwed up. So life after coming back is difficult. I'm gonna write my second book about that. But for me, it has been interesting when I got connected with this foundation. They begin to help me in my recovery process, and I had a therapist that I talk every week with her. By the way, we saw us in Washington. She was with me in Washington, and her name is Daisy. She's gonna be one of my guests in my podcast, by the way. Well, because we really today are very good friends. I have almost 3 years with her, but knowing her and knowing how this process goes for me, I would love to be a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, of course, but I have learned a lot with them.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is a good one. I always learn new things when I ask this question. And because I love music. What is your go-to songs, or music genre when you want to hype yourself up to conquer the day?
Well, I have always been a big fan of rock and roll. Okay.
Okay, so
In fact,
what's your song? What's your song?
well, one of the big songs that I love is "Stairway to Heaven" on Led Zeppelin. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
"Stairway to Heaven" is there is a song called I love rock, but not heavy rock. Okay, I'm more like a light rock. There is a song
Classic
called
rock and roll.
Lucky Man from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. I'm a big rock fan. Let me tell you, I have more than 90 t-shirts of the Hard Rock Cafe.
Really?
I have collected all my life. Yes.
You go to concerts and everything.
When I begin being young, going to rock concerts, and every time I was traveling in my previous life, I always say my previous life. When I was in oil and gas, I traveled a lot.
Yeah.
And every time I came to any country, any city, the first thing that I did, I went to the Hard Rock Cafe and bought a t-shirt. So now I have a big line of t-shirts. So I really love the rock and roll.
All right. Well, we're going to have to play Stairway to Heaven after this. Oh, what is the best piece of career advice you received you would give your younger self?
Then never give up. Pursue your dreams. Pursue your dreams. I always say, I have something that happened to me during my captivity. That, by the way, is part of my speech. That the last year of my 5 years of captivity, they were having big negotiations to get us released, and we had the first day, first time the visit of the ambassador of the rescue. And by the way, I saw him in Washington. I met him. We're going to have a meeting next October here in Houston to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of our release. So his name is Roger Carson. So the ambassador Carson, he visited us, and we had a first time a face-to-face conversation in a captivity in Venezuela. Can you imagine that? When he finished the visit, I told him, Ambassador, we're gone. I don't know when, but we're really gone. So when I finished the visit, I went to my room, and the next day they gave me a phone call to talk with my wife. I told her, Mommy, tell Edgar. Edgar was the guy that was in charge of my logistics. And tell Edgar to bring me a small carry-on. And I told her that to please put some clothes in that carry-on. And she told me why. I said, because I'm going to be gone in any moment. So I put the carry-on in a corner. And every morning I talk to the carry-on. Every morning I said to the carry-on, be ready because you're going to go with me.
Oh my gosh.
I stayed doing it during 1 year. Every morning talking to the carry-on. and he came with me. And he came in with me, and when I came back, I stayed 10 days in a military base. They were giving a decompression program. And the longest that I came with my closest was the one I stayed there. I was prepared. So I tell the people that don't carry the heavy luggage in your shoulders. Give it to God. But take your small carry-on that are your dreams. That are your dreams. So
Wow.
that's my recommendation. Carry your dreams everywhere you go. Go with your dreams.
That is, wow. Wow. We talk so much about letting baggage go, but I'm sorry.
I know. I emotional too every time I talk about this because really it's very profound. It's very profound. It's very profound. But believe me, it's like that. When you really believe that big luggage, you give it to him and have faith in him, and you go with your dreams, and you keep going. You will get there. You will
Yeah.
get there.
Thank you, Jose. So I was going to ask you another question.
I love it.
But
So you got the message.
I got the message. And you're blowing my image as a thug. I'm trying to tell you. Don't get emotional, except for every day. But I don't let anyone else see me. But oh my gosh, wow. Okay, so you have written a book. You're working on your next book. But if you wrote a book about your career so far, what would the title be?
If I write a book on my career, well, by the way, I'm gonna do it. Let me tell you, not only I do it, I already have it written. When I begin to write my book, because I wrote so much letters that when I came back, I had a lot of information in those letters. So when I begin to compile, my first shot of my book was more than 600 pages. And I was planning to publish a 600-page book. And somebody told me, hey, nobody's going to read that. The only person that read that is somebody reading the Bible. So I decided to publish my book that has like 240 pages. So I had like 350 more pages that is my career. Because for some reason of God, that today I'm still trying to understand many things in my life. I come from a family that I'm the fourth generation of oil and gas workers.
Mm-hmm.
So my granddad began the oil and gas operations in Venezuela back in the 1930s. When my dad began to work, he was one of the pioneers of the nationalizations in the Venezuelan oil and gas. And when I came to work there, I went through a lot of the historical events in Venezuela. So literally my family has been going through all the oil and gas history of Venezuela. So my career is very tied to that, and that's the way I'm gonna publish that book maybe in 1 or 2 years. But I have the material to do it.
Okay. We'll definitely be on the lookout for it, as well as anyone who hasn't already. Please pick up the current book, and you said you're working on your second as well.
And I'm working with a translation to that book in Spanish because that book originally was written in Spanish because my letter was written in Spanish, and my first shot was in Spanish, but I didn't go in Spanish by that time because there was having all these problems that are happening in Venezuela. I didn't want to get caught in the middle of the political thing going there, so I decided to go in English to the English audience. And now I think it's time to publish in Spanish to the Venezuelan and Latin America audience. Because I say things there that are part of things that today is happening. It's amazing how the cycle came and it's still happening.
Yeah. So I want to tell the funny story about when we met, because you just mentioned about accessibility and availability and opening your book up and your story, which I hope anyone in any language will be able to learn more about. But I bought your book on Amazon. Don't y'all throw tomatoes at me for shopping on Amazon. But most of the things I buy, about 98% of them, are because my parents will send me photos of stuff that they want from Amazon, and they'll send it. And my parents are both almost 80 years old. And the algorithm learned you. So when I bought your book, I was so excited. I came and pulled your book out of my purse, and I have bought the book.
I have a long version that I did because I in my church, I belong to a group that is a senior citizen group called Golden Heart. So there are a lot of people that are 70s, 80s, even 90s. I have a lot of age people that are friends. So I wrote that book in that version, a long version. So for them was easier, but it was only for them. So
I know. He told me.
You bought the wrong version.
He said that is the senior citizen book.
But the good thing that I had that real version.
Yes.
I gave it to
yes. He was nice enough to gift me the hard copy, and then I traded my senior citizen version for that. But I'm sorry, Jose. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You are so inspiring and so amazing. Like, I could talk to you forever, but I know you have more things to do with the day. Before I let you go, I do want you to tell the audience of any upcoming projects, initiatives, books, speaking engagements, anything that we should be on the lookout for, and then where they can get in contact with you, especially those who would love to hire you as a leadership coach.
Yeah, I'm speaking a lot right now. I'm having a speech in university, in college, in conference too. So anybody that's hearing this, my webpage is joseconnect.com. You go there and you can see all my speaking, my coaching. As I said, I also do this coaching. This is a 3-month coaching, but it's done for weekly modules. So even somebody that wants to take it can contact me again, joseconnect.com. You can find the coaching and you can find the speaking there. And my book also I'm promoting there. So as I said, I'm today doing the Spanish translation of the book. I'm doing the second book. I'm doing also a book for to support my coaching. It's more like, because this is a kind of a workbook. But the book I'm writing is like a 60-page book. It's going to be more like details of things that you will see in my coaching program. So anybody that's hearing this, joseconnect.com, very easy.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. You are a true testament to meeting the moment, embracing and navigating pivots. Thanks everyone for watching. Please make sure you connect with Jose, and I will see you on the next episode of Track Chat.